On this episode, I conclude my conversation with Attorney Anisha Murphy of Just Law LLC. We delve into why a will is not enough when planning for your future. She explains the steps we should follow when estate planning and how it is a critical component of asset protection. You're listening to Finance and Affirmations, and I am Katherine Lankford. So can you just tell us what estate planning looks like for an individual, and is it different, or how is it different for a business?
So it's actually not different, to be honest with you. The same process that you need to go through to start estate planning, whether you're a business or you are an individual, is the same. And it really is calculating your assets. So a business is an asset that can be included in the estate plan. And so the value of an estate plan, which a lot of our community doesn't realize it, is that you don't need like a multi-million-dollar estate in order to start estate planning. You can actually start, and this is why I say estate planning is for everyone. As long as you have a bank account, you have an asset that can be put into an estate plan that then gets to the generational wealth sort of side of passing, legacy down. And then also understanding what type of estate do you want to leave behind. So many people don't realize that depending on the assets that you have, a simple will or just a will, whether it be simple or not, just does not cut it, because a will is a document for consideration. You list out your wishes, and then it gets you into probate, and then the judge considers your wishes and whatever assets are remaining and decides then, after they hear testimony from others claiming interest to your assets, etc., on how the estate will be divvied. The holy grail and really true asset planning and protection is a trust. And there's not enough education around how trusts work and how they can be used to really get to the heart of sort of legacy building. But if you think about the most wealthiest families in America, i.e. the Rockefellers, they built that wealth using the trust model and the waterfall from a trust, where family would die, they would get life insurance policies, they would borrow from those life insurance policies, repay the life insurance policy, and when the family member died, then the benefits will go back to the trust. And so yeah, I hope I answered your question. I'm not sure if I did.
No, you did. You're right there. And I'm gonna back up just a little bit and ask some more specifics, because one of the other things that I do is I do offer life insurance and understand the model that you're talking about. And so you said, which many people don't understand, that, and I like it to come from an attorney, right? Because I can say it and people are like, well, she don't know what she's talking about. But we have a real live attorney here talking about this. So a will is a document that talks about your wishes, but if you don't have anything outside of that will, you can still go to probate. And how long, I know it differs by state, but how long can things stay held up in probate?
So I just want to correct something you just said.
Okay.
If you a will is a document for consideration.
For
A
consideration.
will is a document that gets you into probate. So
Okay.
not dependent upon whether or not you have a will or not. If you die and the only thing that you have is a will, you're going to probate. If you die without an estate plan in place, you're going to probate, right?
Okay.
And everyone has an estate plan. It's really designed by the state, right? And so there's a death plan that the state follows in the event that an individual dies. The question is, do you want a third party, which is a judge that doesn't know you, they don't know your family, they don't know your kids, to decide how your assets are decided upon your death? And then also people think, oh, estate plan is only used when I die. No, trust or estate plan, having an estate plan is also very beneficial in the event that you become incapacitated and you're no longer able to make wishes on or decide what happens to your assets, what happens to your property, what happens to your health, matters, etc., in the event that you can no longer communicate those wishes for yourself. So I just wanted to clear that up.
Okay, so and then let me make sure I'm clear. So regardless, if you die then you're going to go into probate, if there is not a trust or an estate plan set up?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So thank you. I have that. And so now then, you were talking about a trust. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how that works?
So yeah, let me answer the second part of your question though, because you asked about probate. Uh,
Yes.
in regards to probate,
Mm.
it depends. Some people have been in probate for 4 to 5 years on up, because again, it depends on the assets that you have, um, and that the assets that, like who's claiming interest to it, what the assets that you have. You have multiple properties not in the state in which that has initiated the probate, so now you have to file other probate actions in other states. So I mean, I've known people who have got into probate for many years, and gone through probate for many years. It really depends on the jurisdiction, their probate laws, and how all those things work. That's why it's advised you don't want your family to have to, like, it's a lot of fees to have to do that. There's
Okay.
a fee associated with an administrator that has to pretty much come in and divvy out. So you think about paying an administrator for 4 years, right?
Wow.
There's a fee that's associated with the lawyer cost that goes into probate for you, 4 years of that. Like all those things add up.
Yeah.
So to the question of like how long does probate last, it really depends. We've seen Prince's probate stuff last for a long time, and
Yeah.
that was on a good side. Like people's probate matters can last for a lot of years, and then you have to pay court fees, you have to pay a court appointed administrator or conservator, you then have to pay lawyer fees. If you have to go and probate in other jurisdictions, which means other states, you have to pay the cost to get there. So it's very expensive.
Wow. So it's very expensive then not to have this estate planning. So then how does the trust come into that?
So a trust is like for those of us who have like an LLC or a corporation, we operate business. I like to say a trust is a holder over your assets. So just like a LLC is a holder and it separates the owner from the business so that and it protects the owner's personal assets, that's the same way a trust works. A trust is great because it's private. So anything that you design in a trust, it passes literally according to a private matter. So all that the trustee has to do, or the person who is designed to manage your trust has to do, is produce those documents, to like produce your death document to the different beholders of your assets, and then they can take over those assets almost immediately upon receipt of that notification that the true owner of the assets has passed away. Also, the good thing about a trust is that, I mean, on average, it may take maybe 8 to 12 months in order for all the assets to pass, but it's usually not that long of a process as compared to a probate matter. So I like to say the trust is the holy grail of the estate planning process, because it really allows everything to pass privately, and you can do some really cool things with your trust. And essentially it's a shell or a corporate shield over your personal assets, in the same way that like a LLC would be, or a corporation would be, if you're running those businesses.
Okay. And then you made the mention of the Rockefellers and how they use the life insurance products to do that. And
Mhm.
so with those life insurance products, you can put those items in the trust as well.
So you can put any asset that you own into a trust. So, well, as it relates to like life insurance, what you would do is you would make the trust a beneficiary on the life insurance policy. And once the life insurance pays out, or it's time to be paid, or the person dies, the beholder of the insurance company, whether it be like I was gonna say Morgan Stanley, but no, like these different life insurance companies,
Yeah.
Northwestern Mutual, there's all types.
Nationwide. Yeah. Mhm.
Nationwide, they'll be notified, right? Your trustee will present the death documents. They'll be notified. They'll see that the trust is listed as a beneficiary on the plan, and then they'll pay out to the trust according to the trust documents. I like to say, well, life insurance too is great to list the trust in a natural individual as well. So if you have a trust, list the trust maybe as your primary beneficiary, and then list the natural individual as your secondary beneficiary. So then both individuals will be notified of, that there's something in place. Or say, for example, your secondary beneficiary knows that you passed, and then the life insurance company could tell the second beneficiary, oh, there was a trust in place, so it has to pass according to the trust documents. It will key that individual to say, let me go figure out where this trust is so
Okay.
that it can pass according to their wishes. But a trust, I mean, to the question that you asked, a life insurance policy is nothing more than an asset, just like property, just like, heirloom rings, just like your car, which cars technically are assets, but they're liabilities as well. But
Right.
anything can be passed in a trust document. And it's cool because if you place it in your trust, then it has to pass according to the trust wishes versus it passing outside of the trust. Now, because you list beneficiaries on like life insurance policies, it becomes a non, like it can pass outside of the trust because you essentially list who your beneficiary shall be. But once you list the trust as a beneficiary on the life insurance policy, then
Mhm.
it has to pass according to the trust wishes. And the benefit of doing that is the trust, because it provides a corporate shield, it protects the assets depending on how big your assets are once the individual passes. It protects what we call air taxes, like air estate tax, um,
Right.
that follows on the trust. Versus if, for example, an individual is just paid out 1.5 million dollars, they're going to be taxed on that as a capital gain, because it's income that they're earning now, so they're going to be taxed on that income. So there's some benefits, a lot of benefits, not some, a lot of benefits of placing assets in the trust to really protect, your protect the beneficiaries, whether it be your kids, your spouse, whoever, your nieces and nephews, whoever you leave it to, from having to assume the tax that will normally come to them in the event that it's not passed according to trust law, trust documents.
And so one of the things that I hear a lot of times from people or, just out there is that it's expensive. You only need that if, you really have a whole lot of assets. What would you say to that?
I will say that's not true. I think it's more expensive to die without a trust or to need a trust and don't have it in place than it is to not have one. I think it's all about what do you invest in, right? Like we invest in a lot of stuff,
Hmm.
and it's all about the importance and the value. I also think to us that are trust attorneys or who do this type of work, it's about education, because once you educate the person on the value add that a trust will bring, or having an estate plan in place, because an estate plan is more than just a trust. It's inclusive of a healthcare derivative in the event that you get sick and no longer able to communicate your own wishes as it relates to your care. It's inclusive of end of death, like end of life scenarios. It's
Hmm.
inclusive of a power of attorney. So there's a lot that goes into the estate plan. It's inclusive of what you mentioned earlier with business succession planning. So it's inclusive of a lot of stuff. And I like to say, would you much rather make the investment when you don't need it, or make the investment when you need it, or it's too late to make the investment? It's kind of like car insurance. You don't need it until you need it.
That's right. That's right. And that's how I think too about really this and life insurance and all of that. I mean, you definitely don't need it till you don't need it till you need it. And
Mhm.
so you said then basically for an individual, it's pretty much the same for an individual and a business. And so my guess is then that you are telling what you want to happen with that business upon your death. Is that a part of the succession planning?
So, yes, so business succession planning is what happens to the business even before you die. Like, what happens to the business if you want to sell it? What happens to the business if, and as an owner, depending on what type of business you're operating, if you are a LLC, the business owner is considered members, and those members, they get interest, meaning interest in the company. And so that interest can go into the business succession plan, and then you can also list that interest as an asset in the estate planning documents and how that interest is divvied out. So say, for example, me and you go into business together, we own it 50-50, which means that, and it's a LLC. We own a LLC 50-50. And I put into my estate plan 50% of the proceeds that, would normally come to me. I wanted to pass according to this trust, this estate planning document. So what will then happen is then as the attorney is putting together your plan, they will make sure that the LLC interest is also calculated into your assets at the end of sort of the trust or estate planning process.
Anisha, you have provided so much great information. And so I know that our listeners are definitely going to use this information. So can you tell us, for people who are in the Twin Cities area or not, I'm sure you probably, have clients that are outside of Minnesota. Is that right?
I do, because with trademarks, copyright, that's federal law. So I practice nationwide.
Okay, so can you tell the listeners the best way to get in contact with you if they want to use your services?
Yeah, so the best way is to visit my website at www.justlawllc.com. And there you can book actually a free 15-minute consultation, and we can talk about all of your needs from business to estate planning and get you in the best plan that is sustainable for you in the long run.
Well,
I would also say I have an Instagram page. So my Instagram page is Just Law LLC. So follow me on Instagram as well, and then a Facebook page too, which is Just Law LLC/MN.
Well, and for all of the listeners, I will make sure that all of that information is there for you in the show notes. And so one of the things that, I'm big on is affirmations. How would you affirm someone who is trying to either start their own business and or they know that they need these services and just aren't quite ready to start the process? What would you say to those two people?
In general, give yourself grace, give yourself grace. I think I like to say the two most successful people, I'll answer the business question. Two most successful people to your business is your financial and legal advisors. We literally come in as partners on your business and really are geared to help you just towards success. So don't think that you have to do business alone. You have advisors there that are really going to be instrumental in helping you throughout the life cycle of your company and even beyond, right? I mean, some of the clients that have come to me for just simple things, we've gained a friendship and really helping them navigate the ins and outs of their business and how to be successful in business has been just rewarding to not only them, but to me as well. And then I will say, as far as it goes to your estate planning, the same thing. Like, this is a lot, right? We're not taught this information, especially I would say Black and brown folks, right? And even millennials, we think, oh, we have time. We have time. I think for the lack of knowledge, the people will perish. So it's my goal to give you the knowledge and be accessible to answer questions as you're going through this process throughout it, regardless of if it's establishing your first estate plan or updating an estate plan, because things have changed. Again, I'm your partner in this space. And so I want you to know that you have someone that cares about you, that cares about your family, that cares about your legacy building, and want to be here to answer any questions and really hold your hand throughout this process. So reach out. Don't feel like you're in this alone. I do a lot of like helpful tidbits on my Instagram page, on my TikTok page, which I like to call our Just Facts, that gives you the knowledge to feel comfortable. And there are no dumb questions in this again. So if you have questions, reach out, and I'm your partner in this space and want to be your partner, help you, your family, your friends, whoever, get the best plan that works for you all. So don't hesitate to reach out.
Wonderful. Well, Anisha, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. You've been listening to the Finance and Affirmations podcast, hosted and produced by Katherine Lankford, with music by Broderick Williams. If you would like to learn about my other financial offerings, please visit my website at www.financeandaffirmations.com. If you have any questions or an episode topic you would like me to discuss, reach out to me at info@financeandaffirmations.com. I would love to hear from you. Finally, if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend. Until next time, blessings.